Our next speaker will be Frank Chapman. Frank is a community organizer, executive director of the National Alliance Against Racist and Political Repression, field organizer of the Chicago Alliance Against Political Repression, and part of the Central Committee of Freedom Road Socialist Organization. Frank is also a published writer with articles in Truthout and Freedomways. He is the author of Marxist-Leninist Perspective on Black Liberation, and in 2019, he also published a memoir called The Damned Don't Cry, Pages from the Life of a Black Prisoner and Organizer. We're very honored to have you, Frank, and please have the floor.
Thank you, comrade. And good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to all of you, comrades. I want to thank you for organizing this commemoration and celebration of the 175th anniversary of the publication of the Communist Manifesto. The opening line of the Manifesto is, "A specter is haunting Europe." The Manifesto was a declaration that socialism is a political movement and one based on science. We can say that as of May 30th, 2020, the launching of the George Floyd Rebellion, there is a specter haunting the US, the specter of a socialist working class movement, the specter of a class struggle with revolutionary political content. According to a study by the New York Times, between 16 and 25 million people took part in protests in the month following May 25th, the day George Floyd was murdered. This makes the rebellion the largest Black-led wave of protests in US history and one of the largest waves of protests in world history. Today, for the first time in 50 years, a class-conscious movement, including communists, class struggle unionists, and a working class-led Black liberation movement, is coming together here in the United States. The basic content for us is the accelerated decline of imperialism. The biggest event was the 2008 economic crisis, which saw the greatest transfer of wealth from workers to the billionaires and bankers in world history. The heaviest toll was on Black and Latino working class families, which saw generations of wealth wiped out in the form of millions losing their homes. The entire multinational working class has suffered. The George Floyd Rebellion was spontaneous, but like all spontaneous motion, it had cores in the cities. That core first emerged during the Black Lives Matter movement, which was in response to the rebellion in Ferguson, Missouri in 2014. The main organization in the 2020 rebellion was the National Alliance Against Racist and Political Repression, which was born in 1973 out of the campaign to free Angela Davis and all political prisoners. It was refounded in 2019, and on May 30th, 2020, we had 23 cities where our call for a national day of protest brought 100,000 people onto the streets. We protested not just the murder of George Floyd, Breonna Taylor, and Ahmaud Arbery. We also raised the demand for community control of the police. This democratic demand has been raised from one or another, in one form or another, by the Black liberation struggle since the period of Black Reconstruction that followed in the wake of the US Civil War. Every organization in the Black freedom struggle has raised the need for democratic oversight of the police departments, which are an occupying army in the Black and Latino communities. Most famously, the slogan, "Community Control of the Police," was raised by Bobby Seale, chairman of the Black Panther Party in 1968. The vast majority of the protesters and rebels in 2020 were workers. Does a socialist consciousness prevail among those in the rebellion? No. But the consciousness that emerged had two popular expressions. Since Occupy Wall Street protest in 2011 against the bailout of the banks following the the 2008 crisis, the idea that there is 1% and 99% in the US has mass acceptance. Among the multinational working class, there is a renewed militancy. This shapes everything, including the current upsurge of the communist movement. Not since the 1960s and early 1970s have so many young people sought to join communist organizations. The other expression emerged with the Black Lives Matter movement. The young people in Ferguson stood up to police violence, tear gas, rubber bullets, and batons. A popular chant was, "Who do you serve? Who do you protect?" This was in reference to the slogan, "To serve and protect," that most police departments across the country have as their motto. Many police cars have this inscribed on their door. Finally, I want to speak about the science that guides our movement. In 2022, Truthout published my book, Marxist-Leninist Perspectives on Black Liberation and Socialism, which is available for purchase online. When I joined the communist movement, I was taught that our role was not to be tail lights, but headlights. That is, we're not simply recording the deeds of the class struggle, but providing direction, or we're not following the tail of spontaneous uprisings. We want to lead our people out of their frustration, not into it. We start by recognizing the national character of the Black struggle. We live in the age of imperialism, where oppressed nations throughout the world are fighting and striving for their right to self-determination. The Black liberation struggle in the United States is a part of that struggle. And so there are two historic revolutionary movements in the US, not just one, not just the socialist movement, but the Black liberation movement as well. Through the application of the science of Marxism-Leninism, you have to see that our history demonstrates that if you're going to have a successful movement for socialism in this country, it has to be united with the struggle for Black liberation. Marx said it back during the time of the Civil War. Labor in a white skin cannot be free if it is sold and branded in a black skin. This is a fundamental cleavage in the working class that impedes the development of revolutionary consciousness, that prevents a mature movement to develop that can overthrow capitalism. Communists in the United States proved in the 1930s by going into the Deep South, where you had Jim Crow states ruling with terror and brute force over Black people. They organized Black and white workers in a united fight against capitalist bosses and the landlords. That demonstrated, number one, that Black and white unity could be forged in the dirt and blood of class struggle. Number two, once that kind of unity was achieved, the Black liberation movement and the working class movement were unstoppable. They proved that in the 1930s with one victory after another. This showed us the importance of the strategic alliance between Black people and the labor movement. What happened here in Chicago with the recent election for Democratic oversight of the Chicago Police Department is an example of the strategic alliance. The movement for community control of the police, led by the Chicago Alliance Against Racist and Political Repression, could not have passed the legislation to create democratic oversight without the support of the labor movement. It was the labor unions led by Black presidents that delivered the final blow for us, that brought the victory home. We're benefiting today by building on the experience of the communist movement in the 30s, by using the same strategy and tactics that were successful then, proven in the dirt and blood of battle, they can be successful now. The key element in the emergence of the socialist movement and the Black liberation movement. Thank you very much.
I'm Michael Hudson. I'm appearing here for the International Manifesto group. If you like this video and ones like it, please subscribe. For more information, go to the address on the screen.